Now, let's go back over their innervations. So now what I'm going to do is we'll identify the cranial nerve, and then I'll tell you what their primary job is, or their involvement is. So, cranial nerve 1, olfactory. Its primary job is to send innervation to the olfactory bulb, which is essentially how you smell. Okay? So on test day, I could ask, what does cranial nerve 1 do? You could say it provides a sense of smell, or it innervates the olfactory bulb. So cranial nerve 1, sense of smell. Cranial nerve 2 is what allows us to have the sensory input from our eyes. So essentially, it's the vision nerve. I'm trying to say sense of vision, but it's our ability to see. So vision. Cranial nerve 2 goes for vision. Cranial nerve 3, and I meant to write this down, and I apologize. I'll do it right now. And everything will make sense as we go over this. So there's another little mnemonic that will help us when we get into our eyes, especially our 6 extraocular muscles. So what I want you to write down is LR6, SO4, AO3. And I'll write it over here so y'all can see that. So LR6, SO4, AO3. And I'll tell you. So cranial nerve 3 is the oculomotor nerve. It is responsible for innervating 4 out of the 6 extraocular muscles, as well as the lens and the pupil. Cranial nerve 4 is the trochlear nerve. The trochlear nerve is responsible for innervating the superior oblique muscle, again, another muscle for eye movement. Your trigeminal nerve. Your trigeminal nerve needs to be a landmark nerve as you're studying. And so what I do is I pick 3 or 4 of these nerves where I can find it almost, with my eyes closed, and then I can either count up or count down depending on where I'm at. So cranial nerve 1 and 2 are dead giveaways. 1 looks like a 1, 2 is right underneath it. The trigeminal nerve is a very large nerve. Even on the model, you could probably see it. It almost looks like the mammillary body. It is a big trunk of a nerve. The trigeminal nerve is responsible for sensory input of the face. It actually branches off into 3 portions. There's a portion here, and then a portion here. That's why we call it the trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal neuralgia is one of the most painful conditions that we can have. It's essentially a burning, stabbing pain of the face. And there was a guy we learned about in postgrad. He was writing a book because he had trigeminal neuralgia for years. And eventually he was writing a letter to his family because he was getting ready to kill himself because it was so bad. And then I think somehow he cured him, or I don't know how they handled it or how they managed it. But I think the title of the book was like the time on the clock he was looking at while he was writing it. So the trigeminal nerve deals with sensory input of the face, but also some chewing muscles as well. The abducens nerve, cranial nerve 6, that innervates the lateral rectus muscle. So again, another eye mover. So now we have the 3 cranial nerves that deal with all 6 of the extraocular muscles. So now this will make sense. So LR6 is the lateral rectus muscle. It is innervated by the 6th cranial nerve, which is your abducens nerve. So LR6, lateral rectus, 6th cranial nerve. SO4, superior oblique, is innervated by the trochlear nerve, the 4th cranial nerve. And then AO3 essentially means all others. So you've got 1 muscle, 2 muscles, and then 4 other muscles. So AO3, all other muscles are innervated by the oculomotor nerve. So your superior rectus, inferior rectus, medial rectus, and inferior oblique muscles. So on test day, when I ask which cranial nerve innervates the lateral rectus muscle, just write this down. If you guys will write this, and this down, that's 20 points minimum right there. Guaranteed. Maybe even more. I really would say more. And I'm going to explain what all that means in just a second. So LR6, SO4, AO3. So LR6, lateral rectus muscle, is controlled by the abducens nerve. Cranial nerve 7, your facial nerve. Your facial nerve is responsible for all your facial expressions. So when you smile, laugh, grimace, or pissed off and angry at me, that's cranial nerve 7. It also has a sensory component. It is responsible for detecting taste on the anterior 2/3 of your tongue. Your vestibular cochlear nerve. cranial nerve 8. Now this is an interesting nerve because its origins come from the vestibule, which is within our inner ear, and then the cochlea, which is a portion of our hearing system as well. So this vestibular cochlear nerve is responsible for both hearing as well as our sense of balance. They converge and create one singular nerve known as the vestibular cochlear nerve. Your glossopharyngeal nerve. Your glossopharyngeal nerve is responsible for the posterior 1/3 portion of the tongue, so your taste buds on the posterior 1/3 of the tongue, as well as some throat moving as well. Let me think. Hold on. Some say very money, but my brother says big. Yes, that's both. So it's muscles of the throat as well as posterior 1/3 of the tongue. And I'll teach you what I was doing right there just to help me remember that. Vagus. Vagus is the fun one. Vagus goes everywhere. Vagus does everything. When you go to Vegas, you see all the lights, you get really excited, your heart starts pounding, you win some money, you get super excited, you go spend all that money on a buffet, you eat a lot of food, next morning your tummy hurts. The vagus nerve literally is involved with almost every single autonomic organ within our body, from our heart all the way down to our digestive tract, okay? So vagus baby does everything. Your accessory nerve. Your accessory nerve is responsible for innervating the sternocleidomastoid muscle as well as the traps. So again, not to be sexist, but when ladies carry their purse and their accessories, it's always on their traps, okay? So the way I remember that is carry your accessories on your shoulders. And then cranial nerve 12. Cranial nerve 12 is the hypoglossal nerve. It is responsible for lower neck muscles, especially for the larynx and the pharynx itself, okay? Now, we're going to introduce some of our mnemonics. So I'm going to turn the lights up just so y'all can see, kind of wake up a little bit.